Wyoming is one of the best states in the country for so many reasons to form your LLC. Not all states offer the same benefits as Wyoming does. And most people don't understand that unless they're sort of ticking certain boxes, they don't need to form their LLC in their home state. So in this video, I'm going to talk about, do you need to form an LLC in your home state? Number one. And if you don't, then why Wyoming is a top choice for people looking to get the most out of their LLC. The first question to ask is, do you need to form your LLC in your home state? The states have a vested interest in making sure that if you're doing business, and that's actually a term, a legal term, if you're doing business in a particular state, your LLC should be formed there or it should be registered to do business there. These laws exist to protect the citizens of the state. If a citizen could be harmed by an LLC, they don't want the citizen to have to go flying off to Wyoming or flying off to somewhere else to actually sue that LLC. They want to make it easy to sue that LLC and protect the citizens. But they don't actually tell you what constitutes doing business in the state. They tell you what doesn't. Every state, they vary a little bit, but they all sort of rhyme. They go to the heart of, are you likely to hurt someone in the state? Do you have a physical presence? Not just your home office, not just where members or managers are meeting, not where you're taking orders on your own, but do you invite the public into your space? If you've got a warehouse where you've got employees, if you've got physical location, a storefront, you're definitely doing business in that state and you should form your LLC there. But if you're doing e-commerce, if you're doing consulting, if you're engaged just in interstate commerce, right? If you're doing those kinds of things, if it's online, you're not meeting with people in person, then you probably don't need to form your LLC in that state in which you live. There are states that are they're very challenging. They've got a very broad definition of what constitutes doing business there. I'm talking to you, California. And so you got to be careful in those states, but generally the states really, if you're not likely to harm a citizen, then they're okay with you having a business formed in another state. Assuming you can form an LLC in another state, why do you want Wyoming? Well, there's a number of things. Let's start with privacy. Wyoming does not require the names of the members or managers to be listed in the Secretary of State records. So a looky-loo doesn't know that you are the owner of a particular LLC. Now, if you put your smiling face on the website and it's listed on LinkedIn, then obviously people will know. But if privacy is important to you and you're not sort of public-facing with your business, then you can get that privacy in Wyoming. There's two kinds of asset protection. One is veil-piercing protection. If someone sues a Wyoming LLC, they have actually taken a lot of the decision-making, almost all of it, out of the hands of judges. In most states, when a veil piercing occurs, it's a matter of judge-made law. They look at a number of factors. It's not actually in the statutes. And then if you've got a very sympathetic plaintiff, someone who's suing, then maybe they allow the veil piercing in those cases. Wyoming has taken almost all of that discretion out of the hands of the judges, and they have just established a small number of things that a veil piercing would then be allowed. And the other type of asset protection is something called charging order protection. So if someone sues the member, the owner of an LLC, can that person, with a judgment against that individual owner, break into the LLC? Can they foreclose on that membership interest? Take the LLC away? Can they go after the LLC's accounts? In most states, the answer is yes. They vary. I did a comprehensive analysis of this. Some of them say, yeah, go ahead and take it. Doesn't matter if it's single member, multi-member, doesn't matter. Wyoming has the strongest charging order protection in the country. It says that if a judgment creditor of an LLC member has a claim, all they can get is a charging order. That means they sit on the outside of the LLC. They wait for a distribution to be made, but you're not under an obligation to make one. What I've seen is that creditors are very reluctant to get a charging order against a Wyoming LLC. There are potentially some nasty tax consequences that can go along with it. Another reason Wyoming is great, no corporate income tax. There's no personal tax. There's no personal income tax. And there's only 2 states that don't have a gross receipts fee or a corporate tax for corporations, for those with a C Corp tax election. And it's, I believe, Wyoming and I believe South Dakota. It could be North Dakota. I think South Dakota. All the other states are collecting taxes on corporations, not Wyoming. Wyoming also has low fees. It's affordable to form a company there, and it's affordable to maintain the company there. Some of the lowest in the country, others are as high as $800. Or if you have a Delaware company, a Delaware corporation, you could run into hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on a number of factors. Wyoming, that's not the case. There is potentially an additional fee if you have significant assets in the state of Wyoming, but most companies don't, right? They're working from afar. They get a bank account, and that's pretty much it. So those low fees and low maintenance costs associated with Wyoming are really valuable. Another one is that your LLC in Wyoming has the full support of the state. It's not an afterthought for the state. The state has been very friendly with business. And there's been sort of an arms race between different states that are saying, no, we're the best in LLCs. These things happen in Wyoming, and there's a bad case maybe that comes across. And Wyoming legislature goes in and they change the law so that it's protective. It's more protective. So there's that really strong underpinning of support from the Wyoming government that really makes LLC owners feel good about Wyoming being the primary place to form their LLCs if you don't need to form it in your home state. When does Wyoming make sense? When your home state is not required. It's pretty much that easy. I'll throw in a caveat. The caveat is going to be that if you are going the founder path, you're going to be raising money from venture capital investors, sophisticated institutional investors, they're going to want you in Delaware. They want you in Delaware because it has something called the Court of Chancery. Court of Chancery has very reliable decisions, and you've got expert judges and so on and so forth. So it's inexpensive to sue. But keep in mind, you can actually move a company. Usually when you're just starting, you don't have the venture capital waiting to make an investment. And so you can start your company in Wyoming where it's easy and cheap. And then when those investors are ready to come in, you can move the company to Delaware if needed. So those out-of-state owners, if you want the asset protection, if you want the privacy, if you want all of those benefits, then it's a great place. The other place it's great for is holding companies. So if your business is required to be formed in the state in which you live, or the state in which, in real estate, the state where the property is located, but you want to simplify things. Maybe you've got 2 individuals who are investing in 5 properties together. If you had 5 LLCs in Louisiana, then you would need to do 5 partnership returns. Instead, 1 Wyoming holding company, that's a partnership, and then wholly owned subsidiaries in Louisiana. That would reduce your tax bill, and it gives you that great charging order protection. It gives you as well as limited availability of veil piercing. So holding companies in Wyoming are fantastic. Another reason to have your Wyoming LLC is it's great for those online businesses. So many people are in e-com, they're creators, they're doing things, but they don't have a physical presence anywhere, right? Those businesses are great for Wyoming because of these all the things I've already talked about. I'm not going to go over them a 5th time. Okay, so out-of-state owners, right, who don't need to have their entity in their home state, holding companies, and online businesses are great for, well, Wyoming's great for you. It's not complicated to form a Wyoming LLC, right? Just like most states, it's very similar. What you need to make sure you have, the first thing is you got to find a registered agent. Who is going to be the registered agent for your business? Who is going to accept what's called service of process for your business? And that's really where you start the process. I've done other videos on how to form an LLC in general, and you could take a look at those. But when it comes to Wyoming, you want to make sure you got a great registered agent in the state who knows the ins and outs and is able to do everything you need at the state level with the Secretary of State. So all of that being said, when you're going to form your Wyoming LLC, you gotta have a partner who values your privacy. People come to Wyoming for that privacy. They want to make sure their name's not listed in the Secretary of State records. We focus on privacy. And so this next video, we're going to talk about all the privacy issues and how you can make sure your information doesn't end up publicly listed.